So we will get started with the Fast Five. First question, what's your name?
My name's Alex.
And what's the name of your farm?
Farm name is Chucktown Acres.
And where are you located?
Charleston, South Carolina.
What species or livestock do you have on your farm?
We have grass-fed beef cattle that we buy in. We have Berkshire hogs that we raise. We do Cornish cross broilers. We've got laying hens. We do Thanksgiving turkeys. My wife bought a couple of ducks from Tractor Supply the other day, so they have to go on the list. We have 2 dogs, 1 cat, 1 feral cat, and then did I say geese? We have
I don't think you did.
we have 1 female brown Chinese goose.
Oh, yes. Well,
4 humans as well.
so it sounds like you have quite the zoo going on. Yeah.
Yes, we
What
are a zoo indeed.
what year did you start grazing animals?
Oh, I reckon you could say that I started in 2016. I feel it's a little bit cheating because I started my internship at Polyface Farms in Virginia. And so they kind of brought me into their own thing. I had no
Oh,
idea
no.
what I was doing. But I did start working with livestock then. So if moving broiler pens every day counts as grazing, then let's say 2016.
I think it counts. You're
Cool.
out there, you're doing something, and when you moved it, there was less grass there.
Yes,
I'm not sure
indeed.
what the chickens did to it, but yeah,
A lot
it
more
qualifies.
manure and a little less grass.
Welcome to the Grazing Grass Podcast, the podcast dedicated to sharing the stories of grass-based livestock producers and exploring regenerative practices that improve the land, animals, and our lives. I'm your host, Gal Hardage, and each week we'll dive into the journeys, challenges, and successes of producers like you, learning from their experiences and inspiring each other to grow and graze better. Whether you're a seasoned grazer or just getting started, this is the place for you. Calling all ranchers, if you're looking to optimize your grazing operation and boost your bottom line, Noble Research Institute can help. The Noble approach to education pairs their own in-field research with the expertise of ranch managers and advisors to find practical solutions to your unique challenges. Now is the time to register for one of their June in-person courses. Noble will be in Jefferson City for Noble Grazing Essentials June 4th through 6th. In Kansas City for Noble Profitability Essentials June 11th through 12th. And in Fredericksburg, Texas for Business of Grazing June 24th through 26th. Noble Research Institute ensures that every insight they share has been tested in real-world conditions, giving you solutions that work, not just theories. Visit noble.org today to learn more about these courses or to register. Today we're talking with Alex about his journey from interning at Polyface to his own farm, Chucktown Acres, and what they're doing there. For the overgrazing section, we drop into marketing with a rebrand and how he markets his farm, and then we talk about the different social media channels, finishing up with the famous 4, and then he has a couple questions for me today. For 10 seconds about the podcast, thank you to those who voted in the poll last week at Grazing Grass Community on Facebook. If you're not there, I encourage you to go join. I am working on the grass-based genetics website as well as the grazing grass resources, and I was hoping to announce one of them was available this week, but it's not quite ready. So hopefully next week one of them will be available, and the following week the other one will be available. For 10 seconds about the farm, I've talked on the podcast before that I'd like to get some hogs, raise them up, finish them out, sell some pastured pork, and also use that pork for our family. Well, I want to say thank you to Jared. I found some, went over and visited his farm, and purchased a few pigs. So we'll see how that journey goes. I'm excited to try it, but also as I'm doing that, I'm thinking we have not had a pork producer on the podcast lately, so we need to change that. So if you're a grass farmer and you're raising pork, let's talk about it. Anyway, enough of all of that. Let's talk to Alex. So you mentioned Polyface there and you didn't have experience. How'd you end up at Polyface? Did you grow up wanting to get into agriculture, or when did the regenerative bug hit you?
Yeah, it's a long story, but I grew up a suburban knucklehead, basically. I was homeschooled, one of five. My dad was a cop. Mom homeschooled all of us. And I played a lot of music. I'm a drummer, and then my family's very athletic, so I was played a lot of sports growing up too. We actually had pretty good homeschooled sports.
Oh, yes.
Growing up in Richmond, being in a big city helped that we had a lot of
Oh, yeah.
access to other homeschoolers. So we would play private schools, kick their butts, and we would play public schools, and they'd kick our butts. But I didn't growing up, no experience of any kind of knowledge of food at all. I mean, my mom was a great cook, so we were all like little mini foodies, and we would all try to compete cooking against each other.
Oh,
But
yes.
it was, I mean, you got to think a family of 7 on a cop's salary. We were just buying the cheapest food
Oh,
possible,
yes.
and we were trying to make gourmet hot dogs. So I didn't have any thought about farms at all growing up, except for when we would go strawberry picking in July at the
Oh,
strawberry patch. So I carried that aura into college. I went to Bible college to learn how to be a pastor. And while I was at Bible college, I made some hippie friends, some of like your like Christian hippies, back to the earth types.
oh, yes.
And I actually had this one friend, and he was way past crunchy. I don't know what you
Oh,
describe.
yes.
You've got crunchy people, and you've got granola people, and then you've got like
Right.
whatever he was. He was like toasted out. He only ate raw meat. Like his
Oh,
diet was
yes.
raw. He would do vegetables, fruit, and meat, all raw. And he was the guy who introduced me to raw milk. And so I'm in a band with this guy. He's in my electric guitarist, and we're whatever, some kind of like Christian math rock band trying to be cool and tribal and stuff. And all my bandmates are like into natural eating and like gardens and raw milk. And I'm over here with ramen noodles and hot dogs. And so
Washing
I'm
it down
like,
with a Mountain
I'm
Dew.
I'm well on my way to putting on my freshman 15 that year.
Yes.
I'm like eating the cheapest stuff possible. And all these guys are over here like walking me through their gardens. And these are like 20-year-old dudes. And I'm just like, this is weird, guys. You guys are really weird. And so, but I'm a naturally curious person. So I ask, what the heck's going on? Like, why are you guys just eating like whole papayas at a time?
Oh, yeah.
What's happening? And and so they started educating me on the whole food industry as a whole. It's darkness, it's corruption, it's all this greed mixed into it, and how basically the food at the grocery store is basically just a low grade poison that doesn't kill us all right away as soon as we eat it, but it kills us over years and years and years. And it's not good for us, and they've stripped the nutrients out of it, and they've adulterated it, and they've made it shelf stable, and all of the things
Yes.
I never thought about before when I thought about groceries. And so my mind started to alter in when I thought about nutrition and food. And I started seeing food as a way to be healthy. I thought it was just basically like exercise, if you want to be healthy. And I was an
Oh,
athlete
right.
anyway. So I was like, whatever, I exercise all the time. And so I started connecting nutrition with health. And I was kind of weird because when you're like 20, caring about nutrition is just like unless you're like a bodybuilder or something, that's just not something you naturally think about.
I
You're
was not
full of
thinking about that at that time. So your friends, they were into health food. They were talking to you about it, made you more aware of it. Was your next step, did you get fully into health food at the time?
Yeah, I started being the guy walking around campus with a bundle of kale in my hands because I just thought like, oh, kale's really healthy. I should just eat this stuff. And so I just
Oh, yeah.
walk around eating raw kale everywhere I went like a weirdo.
That is great.
I
You don't see
immediately
too many people
I immediately
eating
went for
kale.
like long hair, long beard, kale in hand, barefoot. I just took this total 180 to be this like hippie natural guy within like a year. I was so into it. I just thought this is crazy. When you discover something new, like I think a lot of people go through this when they discover that the food in the grocery store is like terrible. Then they like have these revelations that happen to them and like, oh my gosh, I'm
Oh, yeah.
going to change everything about what I eat. It being the guy who now feeds people, I hear it a lot. People are like, oh my God, you
Oh,
won't
yeah.
believe like the bread, the meat, the cheese, the crackers, everything's poisonous. What is going on? And then they come to me. So I'm now getting to receive the people that I became in the beginning.
Oh, yes.
And so I'm like reliving my own transformation all the time when I meet my customers. Anyway, I still am not thinking about farming at this point. I'm just thinking like, I just want to be healthy and natural and get all the crazy. I started like I still remember trying to do shampoo differently and that didn't work out. Like vinegar is not a good, it's not a good shampoo. It doesn't work. But I tried to go as hardcore to the crunchy side as I could.
Oh,
And
yes.
it was a trip, man. People there had seen me at freshman year, the hot dog guy, and then sophomore year, I'm like walking around in sandals and
Eating kale.
drinking yerba mate and eating kale off the stick. And so that was a crazy transition for me to go through as a person. I moved halfway across the country to go to college. I'm away from all of my friends and family, so
Oh, yes.
it's time for me to come up with like a new identity basically. And so I
Right.
just happened to run into the natural health thing as I'm kind of looking for a new identity for myself. And I'm really grateful for that. It could have been a whole host of things that I would be regretting now, but instead it put me on this path to really care about food. And so I start talking about this and you meet all kinds of interesting people. And I ended up getting a mentor. And this guy really, really cared about the same stuff with nutrition and health and food. But he wanted to start his own farm one day. He had taken it to the next level. And so he starts telling me about Alan Savory, Greg Judy, Joel Salatin, the Rodale
Grazing Grass
Institute,
podcast.
Heifer International, Acres USA, Mother Earth News. And I'm like, whoa, 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 what is all this? Because I'm just trying
Oh,
to eat
yeah.
kale over here. What's all this farming stuff? And he goes, well,
Right.
dude, think about it. It's not just the food companies that are the evil people here that are trying to do terrible things to us. We've actually got a whole agriculture system where the food starts that's destroying the planet. And it's eroding all the soil and it's poisoning the water and it's ruining the air. And then I had a whole nother like revelation that happened that was like, oh my gosh, it starts with farming. That's crazy. So he said, as soon as I showed any interest in like, so how is food actually grown in the first place anyway? Because I had never thought about how food's
Oh,
grown,
yeah.
especially on like a livestock side or with a protein side. I never thought about feedlots and commercial factories and all this kind of stuff. And so he says, you got to read this book by Joel Salatin. It's called Folks, This Ain't Normal. And it's going to answer all your questions. And so I remember on summer break, this is between sophomore and junior year, I read this book. I'm a very slow reader, so it takes me all summer break to read this book. And I come back and I start my junior year of Bible college thinking, I don't want to be a pastor anymore. I want to be a farmer. Like, I don't know
Oh,
what's
yes.
happening to me, but something is going crazy here. And all of a sudden, I want to be a farmer. I want to be a part of this group, this movement of people that's trying to fix the broken parts of our food system at the very base level, which is agriculture.
So,
So,
Alex, when you had that thought, when it dawned on you finally, I think the path for me is farming. How did you think I'm going to get there? Yes, and so you'd connected to raw food basically and more of this health journey, and you made that decision like, hey, I want to farm now rather than be a preacher. I'm to
Yeah.
farming then.
So I'm a very stubborn person. So because I basically came into junior year of college thinking I want to be a farmer, not a pastor. I was like, well, great, I'm screwed because I have 2 more years of Bible college left. And I'm not quitting now. I've just got to finish this. And so I spent the next 2 years still getting my degree and finishing well and all that. But I started working at a pumpkin patch while I was at
Oh,
school.
yes.
So after school, I would go 20 minutes south of Kansas City and I would work at this pumpkin patch called Johnson Family Farm. And in the spring, we had massive greenhouses that we would sell flowers and stuff out. So I was basically just like a flower boy. And I just like
Oh, yes.
doing the fertilizer and the plugs and just working like 8 hours, just brutal hot heat in the greenhouse. And then in the fall, things got really fun because I was a tractor driver for the hayride that went out to the pumpkin patch. And then I
Oh, yes.
did little tours for the school kids that would come. I would put on like the in-sync microphone headset with the little speaker you could lock under your belt. And I'd walk around with 48-year-olds telling them about these little animals that we had at this like little petting zoo that we had basically going on. So that was my first like experience with any livestock at all. I mean, these are confinement
Oh, yeah.
animals that are just like, 3 pigs and 1 Brahmin cow and like, I think we had some goats and I can't remember what else we had there, but I would basically show them around and do a little tour. And I love that. Like any kind of public speaking thing that I can do, I just love it. Even if it's 8-year-olds whole thing. It's like, just give me a microphone
Give
and
you a mic and a
yeah,
captive
exactly.
audience.
Here's what age they are. So during this whole thing, I'm doing school, I'm working at this pumpkin patch. I'm still reading a lot about farming, and I'm getting into Greg Judy. I'm getting into you're reading a lot more Joel Salatin, learning who Will Harris is, and then Gabe Brown's book, Dirt to Soil. Books like that really,
Oh,
really
yes.
got to me. And I was like, dude, I really got to do this. And I remember reading one of Joel Salatin's books where he talks about interns, describes his internship. I think this is in his book called The Sheer Ecstasy of Being a Lunatic Farmer, which, what a name for a book.
Oh, yeah.
He talks about bringing interns in who know nothing about farming, who have no experience, but they have a passion. They want to do it and they want to have their own farm someday. And how exciting that is for him to bring these people in. And I was like, oh, I had this aha moment. I was like, I think this is it. I think this is I think I'm supposed to be a Polyface Farms intern. And that's how I'm going to get into this because I don't know anyone who has a farm. I don't know anyone who had land.
Right.
I have negative money. I have no way to start my own thing. I got to join someone who's already doing this thing, learn how they do it, and then they'll go replicate it somewhere else. So it takes me a little while. I figure out when their applications are. They actually only have a 10-day opening for their applications to go in.
Oh, wow.
And you need to be at the right place at the right time, put your application in. Year that I applied, there were 171 applicants. Only take 10 people. So, and I saw and was like, there's no way I'm getting picked for this, man. This is crazy. But I got an email back from them based off my application that I was one of the 50 people that they were going to have for their 2-day tryout period, where they get to know you, they see your attitude,
Oh, yes.
see how you are socially, how hard you work, and you work for them for 2 days, basically. And so I went there, and they put you up, and you work for them for 2 days, and I had a blast. I was like, we built an egg mobile in 2 days, and we sawed some lumber, and I was like, this is so awesome, man. I would love to do this as a career. And I was lucky and blessed enough to be one of the 10 that they picked out of that group of 50. And so then it's May of 2016. I drive up there, and they're only two hours away from where I grew up in Virginia.
Oh, yes. Let's stop right there for a second, Alex. I want to, when you think about that process and going through the process, you're applying with no experience, which sounds like maybe from his book, that's kind of what they were looking
Yes.
for. What do you think got you the internship?
I tried to keep a couple things in mind while I was there, because I was prepared for this. I knew this was really competitive, and I had read enough of Joel's books to know things that would drive him crazy and then things that would impress him.
Oh, yeah.
So I went in with, I knew he really loves his family, and I know he really loves positive attitudes, and he loves passion, and he loves curiosity. So I tried to focus on this 2 days. I tried to focus on getting to know his family and being really just kind to them and asking them questions. I still have this memory of playing cards with his grandkids. And because we were having dinner at his son Daniel's house, and they have 3 kids, and I love kids. You know, I've done all the field trip tours and all this stuff at this point. And so I'm like, I know.
Yeah, it takes you straight back to the pumpkin patch.
Yeah, it takes me back to the pumpkin patch. I remember playing cards with them, being like, I think they just need people who they feel safe around, who will work hard and have a really good attitude. So that's what I focused on those days. I asked questions, but I didn't ask too many questions. I didn't want to be annoying. When it was time to work, now I worked hard my whole life. I built fences for 6 years, in like 6 summers, you know, through high school, and then through when I was in college, I'd come home and I'd build fences all summer long. So like working hard is no problem. So when it was time to work and nail and screw and cut things, I was like, I'm on it. I'm going to work so hard and just put my head down. And I don't know, there might have just been 49 other real knuckleheads group. And they just saw I was one person who wasn't going to drive them crazy.
Right. Well, I think in any of those cases, it's just a matter of being authentic and true to yourself, and then obviously having the work ethic and making the connections. But yeah, I think authenticity. Boy, boy, I think that authenticity makes a world of difference.
You should put that on a poster so you can read it every day.
Yeah, there we go. Well, you know, I'm not sure I'm that great a reader, so that'd be a lot of letters.
Put your reading
there,
glasses
so.
on.
You there, put them on. Thanks for outing me. I
sorry
appreciate
about that.
that.
I shouldn't have said that. That was so rude. Edit that part out.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. You know, I think I told you, I edit this to make it seem like I'm smarter.
That's really good. It's really good
which
idea.
isn't tough, but you know, I work on that.
Oh man.
So you get the internship and you show up at Polyface. How's that go for you?
It is hard. I mean, you go right into the very beginning of their broiler season. So we're talking about thousands of chicks that show up. When you show up, they've already got thousands of birds on pasture. And you know the Salatin shelters, there's only 75 birds in every shelter.
Yeah, they're not real big.
Drag every single one of those puppies every single day. And you're probably responsible. I think the field we were responsible for had like 22 to 24 of these shelters. And we had to drag every day. And, you know, you wake up before sunrise and you work until sundown, and you are getting a fire hydrant of experience and in a reality check when you're there, because this is how hard you're going to
Oh,
have to
yes.
work when you have your own farm someday. And so this isn't work in an Applebee's. This isn't, I remember I worked at a frozen yogurt shop one time for like 3 months. And most of the time I just sat around because no one ever shopped there. And it was not frozen yogurt. It was like live action all day, every day. There's always something to do. There's always a job to complete.
yeah.
Even if it's raining, you're either going to go work in the rain or you're going to organize a barn somewhere or something like that. So it was a great experience. I've never worked that hard in my whole life. And I've worked I had done roofing before that, fences, decks. I'd worked pretty dang hard, and that was the hardest I ever worked. I still remember hay season coming around, and we're talking June, July, August, and we're out there baling and stacking small square bales, hand stacking small square bales for hours and hours and hours. It was a real test for like, are you really sure you want to? This is basically a way to ask over the course of 5 months, are you really sure that you want to farm? This is what it's like.
Actually, that makes me wonder. So you were there with 10 interns. Yeah. I would assume you all built pretty good relationships during that time. And I don't know if you've kept in touch. Are they all still in agriculture, or did some of them say, hey, this was enough of that. I'm going back to whatever I was doing before.
We built some pretty good relationships there, and that's been 9 years from now. So I'm really bad about talking to people who I'm not around. I'm like an out of sight, out of mind kind of guy.
I get that.
And so some of these people I haven't talked to since I left, and some of them I send funny Instagram reels to every day. And so I've got 1, 2, 3 of these guys that I'm still really close with. And 2 of them are in agriculture. And one of them is coming to visit my farm next week, the one that's not in agriculture. And he's got the itch again. So he's coming to my farm next week, and we're gonna talk about it, and he's gonna try to reevaluate to see if this is what he really wants to do. He already had kids and a family and stuff during that internship, and so he worked harder than all of us, but he had a pretty successful IT company at the time. And so he decided to stick with IT, but now he's got the itch again. So I'm going to try to convince him to get back into some kind of regenerative ag somehow. Yeah. But yeah.
When you had finished that internship and you're down the road a few years now from that, what was the biggest takeaway that has affected you throughout the years?
Oh man. I think that the amount of hard work that we did there set a standard for me, where now, like, if I got to get up at 5 to go catch broilers, it's fine. Been there, done that. Not a big deal. It's a mental state for me now. If I got to stay up late, laying hens from one egg mobile to a hoop structure, or moving pullets from one place to another, no big deal. Been there, done that. So there was a work ethic thing that I now know my potential to be able to work at high levels for long hours because I've already been there and done that. So that's probably number one. Now, number 2 is a little bit more broad, because everything I do here is based off of what I learned there, as far as the husbandry, the management side. I mean, I got the same Gallagher reels for my polywire that I used there. Like, I still use the same Kiwi Tech posts that I was using there. I use them here. The The
Oh,
poultry
yeah.
netting, I still use that stuff. I still move my egg mobile to fresh ground. I still move the broilers to fresh ground every day. I move my cows every single day. I move my pigs once a week. And it's just like everything. I got so inundated with the benefits of how to run a regenerative farm. I got inundated there, and it's stuck with me 9 years later now, and I'm still doing the same exact practices that I learned there. So
Yeah, so those practices have proved to be useful. They work. So let's continue with them.
absolutely.
I have one more question about Polyface, then I have one more question about your equipment you
Yeah.
mentioned there. On Polyface and going through that journey, there's other farms out there that do internships. There's Polyface and tons of others. Would you recommend that for someone wanting to get started in ag?
100%. Absolutely. No doubt. Because the last thing I want someone to see, the last thing I want to see someone do is they read a book, they watch a documentary, and they think, I'm going to go do it. And they go buy a farm and
Oh,
they
yeah.
go get into $100,000 into debt to buy cattle. And then stuff hits the fan and they don't know how to get your cows back from the neighbor's yard, or they
Oh, yeah.
don't know how to work a head gate, or they don't know how to work with cattle in a corral.
Yeah.
God forbid you get in a corral and you don't know how to
Oh,
work
yeah.
cows, you are screwed in there. You know, if you don't know about flight zones, what are you doing?
Oh, yeah.
Your pigs get away. You know, your broilers are limping. What do? You don't know because you don't have experience. And an internship is going to be the cheapest education financially, but the most valuable education you can get for your experience that's out there. You're basically going to go out there and
Oh,
learn
yeah.
from someone else. You can ask them every question you can think of, come up with every scenario where things can go wrong and bounce it off of them. And you've got an expert at your disposal. And it's just,
Yeah.
I would absolutely tell anyone, if you're interested at all, go do an internship first.
Okay, that brings me to my next question. Do you offer internships at your farm?
We do.
Or do you plan to in the future?
We do.
Oh,
Yeah.
very good.
Yeah. Mine's a little different. It's gauged more towards high school and college kids. And it's
Oh,
just
yeah.
1 day a week. So I have them drive. I
Oh,
don't
yeah.
have anywhere for them to live, basically, here. So I can't have this full immersion woofing type of thing that you would see at some places. But we're mostly reaching out to local people. Either they have a teenager with too much energy and they need to get out and, cut grass for 6 hours, or someone who's probably in college who's very interested in sustainable ag and they want to know what it's like to work on a real
yeah.
farm, And so we offer that during the summer months. So we actually just put out our newsletter
Oh,
about
very
it
good.
last night. It's funny you asked me that.
Oh, yeah.
So we offer that. We have about 5 to 6 interns every summer, and we hand select those as well. I don't have 170 applicants a year, but
Yeah.
I get
Not
about
yet,
11.
anyway.
But it's great because there's
Well,
so much going on in the farm during the summer, where you got so much grass you have so many broilers to process. You got so many moving parts. You've got, we don't do our own hay yet,
Oh,
but
yeah.
we plan on doing our own hay. And there's so much stuff to do during the summer. You need a lot of extra hands that you don't necessarily need in the wintertime. So it's nice to bring
Oh,
an
yeah.
influx
Yeah,
of
true.
help, get you through June, July, August, and then you can kind of cruise through the fall and get to the winter.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah. Well, very good. That's a wonderful opportunity for teenagers in your area, young adults. My second question pertaining to equipment, you mentioned you use Kiwi Tech Post. I've never used them. I use O'Brien Tread-In Post. I like them. They're by far superior to anything else I've tried. But I haven't tried the Kiwi Tech Post. So tell me why I should try them.
I've got O'Brien's as well. And if I have to choose, between a stack of Kiwi Tech posts and a stack of O'Brien's, I'm going with Kiwi Tech every single time. These things are so
Oh, yes.
awesome. They're lightweight. They don't get like bunched up and bundled up with each other
Like the O'Brien's can.
can. They have a gliding insulator that adjusts up and down
okay.
on a single skinny fiberglass post. It has a really awesome double step-in tread at the bottom. And you can carry way more of them in one hand than you can the O'Brien posts. The O'Brien posts are a little more bulky. They've got all those options on there.
Oh, yeah.
The thing about the O'Briens is I like all the options that they have, but I don't like the whatever that one side is. It's like the horse tape side, because my polywire always
I
gets
never
stuck
used
in
that
there. And you
side.
gotta yank it out. But the Kiwi Tech ones are amazing. I order extra insulators so I can have two, because I do run double strands sometimes. And so they're super cheap to get those, to get the extra insulators. They last forever. The only way I've ever busted one is by running it over with a bush hog.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Well, that's the reason I love the O'Brien's. I tried some other brands before I tried them, and they just didn't last. And now the O'Brien's, I have most of them left. The ones I don't have are because I lost them somewhere.
I lose them
because, they're in great shape. I've only got a couple that I've ever broke part of a hook off of, or that little connector off of. So maybe you've convinced me. I ordered a Kiwi Tech reel, so
cool,
to try that. And I just had talked to King Cove about the carry pack, because the carry pack will hold those Kiwi Tech posts in it, but I don't have Kiwi Tech posts, and I didn't think I wanted them.
Yes.
But I may have to try them based upon your recommendation.
I would say get 20 and try those out. You're going to fall in love with them. They're so awesome, man. It's just like the same thing with I mentioned the Gallagher reels. I've tried every other reel, the Speed Ride ones, the whatever the other red and white ones are. Interrogate. The Gallagher ones are so freaking awesome. And they're just almost impossible to break.
See, I don't like the Gallagher.
Oh, come on. Why not?
They got too much, because there's too much stuff on them. I don't need it to protect my hand. I don't need the deal that I flip to hold it on the wire. I just feel like they're over-engineered. And I like I think I like the O'Brien reels best. The Terragate reels, I'm gonna have to look and see which reel it is. I've had some reels messed up or mess up with the gears inside them. And I do have a Gallagher reel, and I've never had that problem. And I think the O'Brien's, I've never had that problem. The Terragates, I've had that problem with. They're probably the smoothest feeling one, but those gears mess up. And I know I talked to Powerflex.
Yep.
And I've talked to people, and they're like, just fix it. I want it to work when I go use it.
I probably wasted about 5 hours trying to fix one. Then I gave up and threw it in the trash.
Yeah. When I'm out there working, I want it to work. If I wanted to be in the repair the fence reel business, I would be in the repairing fence reel business.
They're not designed to be taken apart and then put back together.
Oh, no, they aren't. Yeah.
No, they are not.
Yeah. In fact, I've got the internal parts I got to fix one of them, and it just rides around in my pickup with me. I'm waiting on that day.
Waiting for a free ride.
We're going to celebrate its third birthday pretty soon.
Bake a cake for it.
You're right. Yeah. But that's good to know. I may have to get me some Kiwi Tech posts and try those out, just so I know.
And I might have to get me an O'Brien reel and try that out, because I've never tried one of those.
Yeah. I will have to make sure, because I'm pretty sure I have that the right way. I've got some reels with 2 hooks on the front.
Oh,
I hate
why
those.
would you need 2?
Well, it's supposed to hang on a fence better, more even, but then it doesn't work I've got one of those power posts, the Powerflex, so I can't use it with that. And in fact, when I got them, they said it was recommended you can buy this little dildo go in there. So I bought one. Complete waste of money, because I planted it somewhere, and it has
Yes.
not grown at all. And so I never have it. It
Yeah.
doesn't hang right when I hang it
Yeah.
somewhere. To wrap my electric braid or my poly braid around it to get it
Mhm.
hot, it doesn't wrap around the two pieces very
No.
good. I just don't like them. In fact, they spend all their time in the back of my
Yeah.
pickup, except when I've got enough reels out that I
Yeah.
have to use them.
I've got one reel that has lost the guide, and that's the same thing. I'm
Oh,
like,
yes.
God, I hope I
Oh.
never have to use that
Oh.
thing. And
That I've got one without a
Yeah.
guide, and I think it's one of those double hook ones, so
Ooh,
I'm good
double
with not
time.
using it. But man, not having the guide on there
Dude,
is
It's
terrible.
so terrible. God forbid you miss when you're reeling up and it misses a beat and slips over the rail. Oh, and it wraps around the handle.
Yes,
Forget
that's
about
awful.
it, man. Forget about it.
Right, yeah.
I like nerding out
Okay,
about gear
moving
every
on.
now and then. I haven't done that in a while.
Yeah, it's always an interesting subject. I think that sometimes we need to dive into. I doubt what works, because if you not mention those Kiwi posts, and in fact, I just talked to Ken Cove, I guess it's yesterday, about Kiwi
Yeah.
Tech. So
Cool.
very timely how that
I was really happy
happened.
to see them pick them up because they didn't have them back when I bought them, and I had to buy them from Mennonite guy in the mountains of Virginia who was literally shipping them from New Zealand directly to his store.
Oh, yes.
And he was the only guy I could get them from. And so I was so happy to see Ken Cove pick them up because, like, thank God. If I just want to order a couple more posts, I
Oh.
can just do that easily now.
Oh, yeah.
Big time.
Yeah.
Thanks,
Oh.
Ken Cove.
Yeah, I'm glad they have them. I'm gonna have to try. You got that bug, and we're gonna skip over just a little bit because you did that internship in 2016, and then obviously we're about 9 years later. What do you have going on now?
So now,
And we did kind of cover that with all the livestock, but let's dive in deeper in
Yeah,
what's going on.
so we launched this farm here in Charleston, South Carolina in June of 2020. And
Oh,
so
okay.
you want to know a little bit of the story behind that?
I do, and I want to know the name.
Chucktown
Chucktown.
Acres. Yes.
So where did that come from? I have a guess, but go ahead. I'd like to hear.
So the nickname for Charleston is Chucktown. So when people are from here, that's
okay.
kind of like a way to, because it's such a high tourist area, it's kind of like we
Yes.
have our own little secret language where we know different names for different parts of Charleston. And so you can kind of say, I'm a local, I know Chucktown. So it's kind of a silly little fun thing. And so
I guessed it was some way related to Charles, Chuck,
Yes.
St. Charleston.
Exactly.
So, yeah.
Exactly. Because it used to be called Charlestown, and then they just kind of shortened it, made it easier to say by Charleston. And
Charleston, yeah.
So yeah, I knew I wanted to do the Chucktown thing. I really thought that was fun. And then basically I wrote down the words that I could put after that: farms, acres, pastures. There's not a ton of options out there if you're gonna use like the farm thing in the name of your business. So
Right, to use that.
I just
theme.
said all of them about 100 times, and I was just like, which one do I like the way it rolls off my tongue better? And Chucktown Acres was just my favorite. I liked it a lot. And
yes.
I'm kind of a nonconformist too, so I didn't see a ton of like something acres farms out there. So I was like, let's go with that and see how it goes. It's been 5 years and I still love it.
Oh, that's the
Yes.
important part
Yes.
right there. And I think it's unique enough too for your customers that it's going to stick with them better than
Yeah.
another possible
Yeah.
name.
It's never going to be perfect. We still have plenty of people that go,
Right.
oh, I went to Chucktown Farms the other day. You're over there at Chucktown Farms. And I just let it. It's like, yep, sure. I'll be Chucktown Farms if you want me to be Chucktown Farms. That's totally fine, man. I'm not too
Right,
picky
yeah.
about it. Yeah. I teach a marketing class for farmers. And one of my favorite things is when we talk about the need to rebrand if you hate your farm name. And so
Oh,
I'm
yeah.
like, just try to have some fun with it and think of a farm name that you could say 100 times on the phone and not be tired of it. That's my test. Like,
Oh, yeah.
can you say your farm name 100 times in a day and not be sick of it? And so far it's been true for me with Chucktown. So that's been a little
Oh,
fun
very
little thing
good.
about our business.
So getting started there in Charleston, how'd y'all get started?
Yeah, it's a crazy story. We actually moved to Charleston in 2019 and did not have anything lined up in the farming world. I called a few guys that are operating farms here, but they were all so small that they couldn't hire anybody. And so I was like, well, I guess we're going to have to start our own thing. So we actually kind of just went out on faith and just said, we're just going to go move there. I had a buddy that owns a business here, like a landscaping design business. So he said, you can just work for me until you figure out the farm thing. And so I worked for him for 6 months. And then one day at church, I was talking to this guy. Remember, I'm a drummer. And this guy was a guest worship leader at the church that I was drumming at. And I was just asking him who he is, what is he doing? And he said he's starting a farm. He's starting a regenerative farm 30 minutes north of where the church was. And he actually told me that the next day, Monday, he was going to put out a flyer for a livestock manager, and he was looking for a livestock manager. I was like,
Oh,
don't put it
yes.
out. I am here. I'm here.
Yes.
And so I started working at that farm the next week. And it was crazy. It was owned by a third guy that wanted his own farm, wanted his own healthy food, but didn't necessarily want to do it himself. He needed someone with some expertise. So we were growing vegetables and livestock. And then within about 6 months, the owner said, Alex, I'm moving to Colorado. I'm not going to be here anymore. I don't want to own this business anymore. I'd rather you take this over. And so can you just be the new chief here? And I was shocked. I couldn't believe what was happening because I was just working for somebody else. And
Oh, yeah.
now I'm the sole proprietor of an LLC, and everyone that I started with is gone, and it's just me. And so the land is still there. He moves to Colorado, but he keeps the ownership of the property, and he says, "Pay me a percentage of your profits, and you can use this land and the tractor and stuff." I was like, wow, what a blessing. What
Oh,
a
yeah.
way to get into this, because when people ask me like, how do I start my farm? I don't have very good answers for them because I'm like, I got really blessed and lucky in all this all at the same time. And I was basically handed this business in its infancy stage, to be fair, but I was still handed this and given a great lease on a property that had equipment ready to go and a couple of cows. And so we launched with that in June of 2020. I actually did a rebrand because I didn't like the name that they had going before. So I rebranded when I became the
Oh,
new
yeah.
owner of the business. And it's been 5 years now. We actually don't even work over at that property anymore. It sold 2 years ago, and we moved across the street to this one. There's only 2 farms in our town, and we just moved over to the other one. We are in coastal South Carolina. There's no farms out here. Like, this is, we bump up to a national forest that is hundreds of thousands of acres. I don't even know if it might be 500,000 acres. And there's no farmland for about 45 minutes to an hour from us. So we're in this
Oh, yes.
really unique little pocket. We've got a little village here where all the shrimp come in for South Carolina shrimp. And so like I'm the farmer in the town, and then everyone else is shrimpers and fishermen. And so when we go to the bar, it's just all these shrimpers and me. And so I'm the farmer in town.
That's great. Yeah.
Yeah,
Farmer
yeah.
Alex.
So like I said, we started with some cows, and then we went laying hens, we went broilers, we added Thanksgiving turkeys, and then we added the pigs as well.
Oh, yeah.
Those first 2 years were crazy, totally crazy, because we were adding so many different enterprises to kind of match my dream of like, well, we don't have any pigs. I want pigs. Let's go get some feeder piglets, and let's add it on. And then they would get out and run to the neighbors, and then the cows would get out, and then the eagles would kill our chickens every day. And it was like, it was, I had done the Polyface internship, so I had learned how to solve Virginia problems, but I hadn't figured out South Carolina problems yet. The foxes, the coyotes, the hawk pressure out here is so crazy that I can't let my laying hens, and they're in a Hegmobile with poultry netting, I can't let them go more than 100 yards away from the house, or else I will lose two two chickens a day, guaranteed, to the hawks. Yeah, it's like a war zone out here.
Oh, yeah. Do you still use the Polyface chicken tractor design?
I don't. You went with the mobile range troops that you can put like 600 broilers in. They take like a week to build, but with like 4 guys. But they are so worth it, man. Just going out there, and I can move the whole thing, me and my 2-year-old with a tractor, and we can move 600 birds in 30 seconds. It's like, oh, this is a no-brainer. And our land is flat as a pancake. So there's I don't have to worry about hills and bumps and valleys and stuff. It's just it's like a beach flat out here. So we can get away with something like that. I know on some places people's farms are on slanted ground and slopes, and they can't do those big mobile range troops, but ours is 20 by 40, and we've got 3 of them, and they are so sweet.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, and works out really good.
I got burnt out on the salads and shelters. I couldn't do it anymore.
I would think you could get burnt out on those. That's a lot of work. This efficiency comes into being an issue there with the number of birds.
Yes, when you're doing it yourself every day, it wears you down, man, for sure.
Oh, yeah. Alex, let's shift gears again, talking a little bit about your farm, but let's shift to overgrazing section. At Redmond, we know that you thrive when your animals do. That's why it's essential to fill the gaps in your herd's nutrition with the minerals that they need. Made by nature, our ancient mineral salt and conditioner clay are the catalyst in optimizing the nutrients your animals get from their forage. Unaltered and unrefined, our minerals have the natural balance and proportion that your animals prefer. This gives your herd the ability to naturally regulate their mineral consumption as they graze. Our minerals won't just help you improve the health of your animals, but will also help you naturally build soil fertility so you can grow more nutrient-dense pasture year after year. Nourish your animals, your soil, and your life with Redmond. Learn more at redmondagriculture.com. And we want to dive in more about marketing and sales. And you mentioned something earlier just about a rebrand, which I thought was very interesting. Let's talk about your marketing efforts, how that's gone for you. The first thing it sounded like you did when you were in charge, you said, hey, we've got to do a rebrand.
Yeah.
How did that did your customers have any problem with that rebrand? I know the business or the farm was in its infancy, so it wasn't like huge and you were trying to do a rebrand.
Yeah, thank God it was still young when we did that. I think it was a little awkward for a couple months because we had already been at a farmer's market with the old name. We'd already set up our online sales platform with another name, MailChimp with the other name. So we had to get in there and like dename everything, and people were getting invoices from the old name. And so it was awkward, but it was so worth it, and I'm so glad we did it now. I try to encourage these young farmers that if they don't like their name, they can rebrand, and it will be painful. It's like cleaning your room. It's so worth it, even though it kind of sucks for a little bit. So I
Oh,
just
yeah.
say if you're going to be an entrepreneur and you're going to run your own company, you got to love your name. You just have to love
Oh, yeah.
love your business to be able to, when you have really bad days and really tough days, little things like that really help. They help you get through tough days. If you're like, I just still love this thing, even though this was a tough day or whatever.
For marketing, what do you do for your farm? And along that line, what do you recommend for
Yeah.
others?
So I'm blessed enough to be able to teach a marketing class. We use Barn to Door for our sales platform, and they've got a
Oh,
lot
yeah.
of stuff that they do as far as like community oriented stuff. And one of the things is these academy classes. They've got a MailChimp one, a social media one, and I teach the marketing one. And so I get a new group of farmers every month, and I walk them through about 3 hours of content total over the course of 3 weeks, different ideas that we will run them through. And most of it is get as many email addresses as you can. Focus in on collecting emails and doing email marketing to these people. Write them real emails. They don't have to be elaborate. They don't have to be big, massive newsletters that you send out once a quarter. I encourage farmers to send out a weekly email. Just tell them a little bit
Weekly.
about something that's going on your farm. But I try to match it up with the frequency of when people are shopping, because we do a home delivery system that people can order on our website, and they just put in their address and their credit card, and we bring it to their door. So I need to get in front of these customers at least once a week with a little message, a sales promo, an encouraging thing about regenerative farming. Anything that I could put in these newsletters. I won't keep it long.
Oh,
I'll
yeah.
keep it short. People's attention spans are really short, but it needs to be on the same device that they're going to be ordering from. So it needs to be,
Oh, right.
so it's not like I do flyers and stuff like that too. They're going to be ordering from their phone or their laptop, most likely their phone. So I need to get on their phone
Right.
somehow once a week. And we know this whole social media algorithm thing drives me so crazy, because we've got 8,000 followers on Instagram. That's not a lot. It's not a little. But I know every time I post on there, it's not going to go to 8,000 people. It's going to go to
Oh,
1%
right. Yeah.
of them, like 1 to 5% most likely. And so if I have a really important message to send to my customers, I can't rely on social media alone. I still use it. I still put stuff on there every day, every other day, because it is a nifty tool, and it is useful. But the email marketing is going to be a private invitation directly to your customer with links that they can click on, and you can sell them ground beef in about 2 clicks, and it takes about 20 seconds for them. So it's about trying to take the friction out of the relationship.
So to get those email addresses, you have barn to doors. So whenever you make a sale online, you're capturing that
Yes.
email address. How do you capture it outside of a barn to door?
Clipboard and a sign-up sheet, old school.
Oh, yes.
We're
going
at
old
2
school
farmers
on it.
markets, and so when we're there, we prioritize the clipboard. We worship the clipboard at the farmers market. If nothing else, if we don't hit our numbers at this farmers market, we better hit our email sign-up numbers. Because for me, those email addresses are the new currency. If I can send these people
Oh, yeah.
an email a week, year round, and I can deliver this stuff to their house, who cares if it rains at the farmer's market that week? Who cares if the farmer's market's closed? Who cares if my wholesale customers don't put an order in this week, I'm going directly to this person's house and I'm sending them an invitation to buy my stuff at the same frequency that they would be going to the grocery store to buy that stuff.
Okay, so I know when you're doing it for barn to door and doing this training, those people are already in the process of getting a website set up and they're going to have products ready soon. What about for someone who's not quite there? Should they already be starting and working on their email list? And how would they go about doing that?
That's a great question. I want to put myself in those shoes. You want to be trying to build up as much hype as you can to get people excited about your launch. And thankfully, the excitement should be coming naturally. If you're going to be launching something, you're excited about this already. And you haven't experienced any of the downsides of farming yet. So it's all sunshine and daisies.
Right. There you go.
So you could literally go set up at a farmer's market with nothing and try to collect emails that way for your future farm deal. Obviously, social media is going to help. If you don't even have a farm yet, or maybe you're not selling anything yet, it's a little bit trickier to try to get in front of people. But the social media algorithms are going to reward you for being consistent and on there daily. So try to do that as best you can. And then I think another great way to do that would be to try to partner with some local businesses that are privately owned, that attract the right kind of buyers that are going to be looking to source from a local farm. So I love using the CrossFit gym as my number one thing. Go to a CrossFit gym, ask to speak to the owner, or you could send them a little like Instagram DM first to set up a meeting with them and just ask them, can I set up like a clipboard and a email setup form? And maybe like I talked to this one farmer who did a fishbowl idea for when he launched his farm. The first steer that I process, I'm going to give away $200 of that ground beef to one person in this fishbowl. And the guy got 150 email addresses from one fishbowl at a gym. I was like, dude, that is such
at a gym.
crazy
So
idea.
he set it up.
And it really worked.
I love that out of the box thinking.
Yeah. There's also little independently owned grocery stores, like health food stores, little baby Whole Foods, if you will, but they're all privately owned. Those people love local farms. And so usually they want clean meat. You might be able to even use them as a pickup location someday, but they would probably be willing to work with you in some form or fashion to try to either get email addresses or put out flyers or something just to help you get your farm started. There's probably 100 other little things you can do, but those are probably going to be the three most efficient ways you can go out there and get in front of people.
Yeah, I think those are great ideas. Social media drives me crazy. You know, I deal with social media with the podcast.
Yeah.
And I've really been lax lately on it because it's something else to do. And sometimes it just doesn't feel like it's doing what you want it to do. And like you said, you push out a post or something and you've got this X number of followers, but you're looking at a 1% getting to see it.
Yeah. And I think
5%.
they are making it more and more difficult for businesses on social media on purpose. I did just notice that I'm getting asked by Instagram to join the blue checkmark club, but I have to pay $15 a month to get the stupid blue check. And I am such a non-conformist. I'm like, no, never getting that blue check mark.
Right. Yeah.
I even turned on the blue check mark when it was free. I just like, no way. Probably shot myself in the foot with that one because now it's $15 to sign up for it. But yeah, I think that they are realizing how much they have helped businesses in the past. This is, the Meta world. And I think they're looking for a little bit of payback now. So if they haven't started charging businesses, they are going to because it's been a really effective way. It's the number one thing you always hear. How do when you ask someone, how can I get in front of other people? They'll immediately tell you Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, that kind of stuff. And it's getting less and less effective as we go on. So we're going to have to get more creative with different ideas of how to get in front of people. Though it seems like the only time I get a really popular Instagram post now is if I say something really controversial.
Well, and that's true. If you can be a little controversial and cause people to want to argue with you online, you can get a little bit more exposure. That's not really my personality. I don't want to argue.
Mine neither.
Because, so that doesn't work for me. But on social media, are there, there's a few new networks that have jumped up trying to be the new Twitter with Twitter's issues. Are you using Blue Sky or Threads or I'm missing some.
No.
Are you using any of the other ones? Or are you sticking to I hate to use the word traditional with social media, but the usual one.
That is such a great way to put it. Yes, the standards.
Standards,
I
know.
Yes. I describe myself as a caveman with a MacBook. So I'm like, don't tell me about the new one because I have a hard enough time keeping with the traditional ones, the classics, I don't even have TikTok. I don't have TikTok or Twitter. I mean, I just Instagram and Facebook, and I have linked them together. So I only have to do one. And that
and it just gets pushed out.
I'm barely getting to the one. Yeah. Like, don't tell me no Blue Sky stuff. I don't have time for this.
Yeah.
I don't know how much good that stuff is for your business. I don't know. I feel like you could spend hours and hours on there. And I think I spend way too much time plugging tires and setting up paddocks to be messing with all that kind of stuff,
Right.
Yeah, fixing fences is going to be a little more important than your Blue Sky account. So,
yeah, I think I have Blue Sky. I think I have Threads, Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, of course, YouTube for the podcast. And the only ones I really post to is Instagram and Facebook because that's a one deal. I kind of do it and it goes both places.
Yeah.
But I've not been real good about that lately. And as I look at downloads and measuring that, I do think there's been a decrease in downloads, not new downloads per episode. There's been a decrease in overall downloads. So what that tells me is I don't have as many new people finding the podcast. But I can't contribute that all to social media because I haven't been on any other podcast lately and trying to get in front of some new people. So that becomes the issue for the podcast. I need to get it out to new people.
Yeah.
Not if you're an old listener, I love that you've been here a while.
Thank you, old listeners.
Yeah, but yes, thank you. But need some new ones too.
Right. Yeah. I bet you, I mean, do you record the video on these?
I do, and we push it out to
YouTube. Can you put little clips up there?
I was putting shorts on YouTube and TikTok for a while, but it just felt like, and it was actually getting a little bit of traction.
Yeah.
A little bit of traction, not attraction. I'm just as attractive as I'll ever be. But but it was just something more to do. So I backed off of it. And at times I think I should get back on that, but that part of it, I don't enjoy. So that's a little bit tougher for me to get out there. So maybe that's something we get back on, but right now I haven't. Do you use Shorts or YouTube at all for your farm?
I tried to put up a few YouTubes, but like I said, I haven't seen enough benefit from the social media as a direct farm business where all my customers are local. Right. If I was Tribal Pastures or Five Marys or White Oak, I understand you're shipping across the whole country. You need to get in front of everyone and everyone's on the internet. My focuses have been much more local. And so I need to get in front of the people that are within an hour of me. And so if I
Right.
was trying to reach more nationwide audience, I would definitely do a lot more YouTube and more of the extras in the social media world, you know.
Right. Yeah.
But I think that it's hard to say, it's hard to dismiss it because there's a way that people are winning on social media for their
What?
businesses.
Right. Yes. I
Yeah.
agree. But also at the same time, when you were talking about marketing and the fishbowl and stuff, the book that comes to mind is Get Different by Mike
McAllowitz.
his name's easy to say, McAllowitz.
Yes.
As long as I've got his name in front of me. I love him.
I'm reading the
He
Pumpkin Plan
doesn't
right
know
now.
it. It's oh yeah. Well, I love Profit
Yep.
First.
Me too.
Pumpkin Plan,
Napkin,
Get Different.
napkin something.
He's got tons of books. He's actually writing a personal finance book that I'm pretty excited that'll be coming out probably in 2026, I guess,
Sweet. He's
2027.
awesome.
I think they have a long, yeah, and he has a podcast with AJ Harper about writing a book, about authorship, which I love. In fact, I was listening to it earlier. But whenever you're talking about that, I'm thinking about Get Different. And so actually I was thinking earlier, I may need to read that more as it pertains to the grazing grass, because I see the podcast, not this podcast, but all the other podcasts doing kind of the same thing. I need to do something different. But when you think about it on your farm, how can you get different and be different from everyone else?
Yeah. Right. That's why we teach the class, because I've talked to so many farmers who are starting out and they think I'm going to grow pastured poultry, I'm going to do some hogs, and I'm just going to have clean meat. And as soon as it hits my freezer, everyone's going to line up and they're all going to want to buy it from me, and it's going to be amazing and easy. And then they get there and they get their hogs back from the processor, and then the pork sits there for 3 months, and like they just have a freak out because there's like, oh my gosh, they're not pouring in like I thought they were going to be. And I need to I need to figure out how to do this and how to get in front of people. I think a lot of people are trying to do this without farmers markets. There are a lot of bad farmers markets out there that are not worth your time. So I get it. Like, I've done a few where it was like we sold $200 of stuff, and I'm like, this is terrible. This isn't worth it. But believe me when I say this, there are farmers markets out there where you will go there and you'll spend 4 hours there and you'll do $5,000 in revenue at this one farmers market. It's worth it. I say that being in year 5 of being at that farmers market, right? It wasn't that great right away, but when you can do that, you get in front of real people in real time that actually want to buy some groceries, and so in their farmers markets, they concentrate a specific type of person that is looking for local food. So they're kind of getting out all the Walmart shoppers and the Publix people and the Wegmans people, getting them out of the way, and they're just concentrating on people who love local food. And then you want to establish yourself at that farmer's market and be a constant presence in that person's life. That person's only going to come to that market once a month, most likely, but you want to be there when they see, when they're there, you want to make sure you're there. And as the years progress, they will trust you more. They'll get to try all your products a little bit here and a little bit there. And then by year 4 or 5, you're going to be so glad that you put in the hard work on the early days when no one knew who you were and you were the new guy. And now you're the source for everybody's protein needs in the 4 neighborhoods that surround that farmer's market. But it's got to be a good one. It can't be a podunk one. It can't be a rural. It's got to be in the metropolitan area that's focused on real food that's grown by real people. So, yeah.
Excellent advice there. Alex, it's time for us to move to the famous 4 questions. Same 4 questions we ask of all of our guests. Our first question, What is your favorite grazing grass related book or resource?
I blanking on the Greg Judy one, the name of the Greg Judy one that I love.
No
The-
Risk Ranching or Comebacks?
No Risk Ranching was a great one. I think probably Salad Bar Beef, Joel Salatin.
Oh, yeah.
And I love that book, man. I'm a fanboy of Joel's Saw, and Salad Bar Beef was so great. You got to read it if you're a grazer.
Oh,
man.
yeah.
Just learning about when his dad was setting up paddocks, but their ground was so hard that he couldn't put a piece of rebar in the ground.
Oh,
And
yeah.
so his dad had to create tires with concrete in it with a rebar post in the middle. And that was their post. And here I am walking around with 30 Kiwi posts in one. Yeah,
Right.
it's very inspiring, man. The things that those guys were willing to do regenerative rotational grazing. Oh my
Oh,
gosh.
yeah.
Totally crazy. So yeah, go read Salad Bar Beef if you haven't. It's great.
Very good. Our second question, what's your favorite tool for the farm?
You're gonna make me pick between my tractor, my four-wheeler, my truck, my computer, my phone, my silage forks, my mower.
Right. And all of those you can't live without, but which one is the one?
It's got to be my tractor, because we went ahead. We still have this old Ford 2000 tractor, and she's a little rough. She's been around for probably 30 years, and so and the mosquitoes here on the coast of South Carolina are so vicious that you would have to go, if you're going to go bush hog, you got to put on a whole bug suit to go bush hog without getting eaten alive. So last year, my buddy let me borrow his Kubota for a week. I had to move around some really heavy stuff. And so he left me the forks in a bucket with his Kubota and his closed cab, and the air conditioning was ice cold, and the radio was really nice. And I was like, I don't know how I'm going to live without one of these. So my wife said, when I got off that tractor for the first time, and I was so happy, she's like, we got to get you one of those, baby. And so I was down at the Kubota dealership the next week looking at closed cab tractors, and I got an MX 5400, and it's great. It's a closed cab, so I can go bush hog, and the mosquitoes are all in the glass on the outside trying to eat me. I've taken videos and put them on Instagram, and I would take videos of the mosquitoes trying to get to me. I'm just laughing at them.
Oh, yes.
So I think that's the one. That's the one I can't live without. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Excellent resource. And I keep thinking Kubota will reach out wanting to sponsor something about
Come
the
on,
podcast.
guys.
And they
Get out
haven't
there
yet.
and sponsor this
Yeah.
podcast. Dang
We're
it.
here.
We'll tell everyone to go buy
third
one
question-
if you do.
There we go. Yeah, exactly. They come in my favorite color.
Yes.
It's just meant
I
to
pretty
be.
much just did a commercial for them anyway. So I hope I get a kickback
Oh,
too.
yeah. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Have to reach out. Hey, have you listened to this episode?
Right.
Our third question, what would you tell someone just getting started?
Buckle your seatbelt.
Rough roads ahead?
I hope you really want to farm, because the work is so hard, but you have to be connected to the greater mission at hand, especially in the regenerative, sustainable world. It's not just you and your little farm. You're a part of a whole movement of thousands of farms across the country, of people who are sticking it to the man and saying, screw you, I'm going to grow my own food. And then when I have enough for me, I'm going to grow food for my neighbors. And then when I have enough for my neighbors, I'm going to go to the suburbs. All your people that are shopping at Whole Foods, and they're going to shop with me now. And you need an attitude of, I can do this. It's going to be hard, but this is totally worth it. And so I can give you all the
Yeah.
practical advice on what not to do with your pigs. But if you don't have the right attitude going in, and if you don't have a stick-to-itiveness neighbor attitude and mindset, then you're not going to make it through the first couple years.
Yeah. Yeah. Excellent advice. And Alex, where can others find out more about you?
They can join my email list.
Exactly.
If
Yes.
they want to, go to chucktownacres.com, scroll to the bottom, put your name and email in there, and I'll send you an email every week about what's going on with the farm. And I do use social medias, just Instagram and Facebook, Chucktown Acres. We're the only one on there. So pretty easy to find. So that's where they can find out more about us.
Well, I'm going to go join your email list so I can see how an expert does it, so I can figure out how to do it myself. So, yeah. And lastly, one last question, but it's where we turn the tables. Do you have a question for me?
Yes, I do. But I have 2 questions for you.
Oh, well, you'll have to come
make
back.
them really short. Is that allowed?
Sure, yes.
All right. Question 1 is, what's your favorite book on that shelf behind you? Because I see a lot of amazing books that I've read, but I want to know which one out there is your favorite.
My favorite, see if I can see it, is right here. The Lassiter Philosophy to Cattle Raising. I think this book, I was introduced to it at a young age. It was, my dad had it on his shelf. In fact, I bought my own copy just to have it on my shelf. And then I reread it occasionally. It's a really short read. It's just about his breeding philosophy. And I really think with livestock, if we would just follow his ideas with that, which they correlate really good with Johann Zeitzman's philosophy as well. If we would just follow them, livestock would be in much better shape than they are. And I am very much, as a grazer, I'm a livestock first person, and I really have to. Yeah. So for me, I have to work to be grass first and manage my soil because I'm all about the livestock. And that's my love on the farm. That's definitely a book I enjoy just reading. So every once in a while I just read it just to enjoy it. So it has to be Lassiter's Philosophy of Raising Cattle. And it doesn't apply to just cattle, it applies to all livestock.
Yeah. Okay, cool. Yeah. It's about breeding.
Yes.
Specifically breeding for different genetics.
Yes. In fact, while he talks about the 6 principles of breeding, and I should be better and rattle them off my head right off, but a maternal animal should raise a offspring every year. If she doesn't, she goes to town. They should thrive in the environment they're raised in. You should not have to bring in inputs to get them to where you want them to be. You should select for meats that are important. If you're selling pounds of meat is the important trait. And all the others, and sometimes we want to get wrapped up, the feet and legs on that animal's not quite right. Oh, I don't like that top line. That rump slope, I don't like. I agree. I get there too. But if she produces offspring every year, and I'm able to produce pounds of meat, if that's my market, whatever my market is, then she's doing exactly what I want. And rather than trying to second guess nature, let's get out of the way of nature and just focus on those animals that do what we want them to do and breed from them. Without props, she's out there doing the work. That's the gist of it.
Yeah.
I love that. He puts it more elegantly and breaks it down to the 6 pillars of it. But that's basically it.
Yeah, that's great. Okay, second question is, who's your dream guest on the podcast?
Oh, actually, this is really easy. Obviously, it's you, Alex. But since you're on here, I have to pick someone else.
Finally, you got to this day.
Right, exactly. Pete from Just a Few Acres. That is my dream guest to have on here. And he is probably unconventional guests for a grazing deal because you immediately think Greg Judy, Will Harris, Jim Garish, Gabe Brown. Some of those we've had on the podcast. The ones we haven't, we hope to get on the podcast. But to me, Pete, I want to say his last name's Larson, but he has just a few acres. I watch his channel every week. I catch the stuff, and he does stuff. He manages his grass, but out here, we're all like, if you can move them once a month, move them once a month. If you can move them every week, move them every week. If you can move them a day, move them every day. And sometimes we get to a point and we say, well, if you can move them every hour, get out there and move them every hour. You know, we just, what's that next? It's kind of like juggling, you know, you get 3 balls and you're juggling for kids and they're enjoying it. What's their question? They don't come to you and say, oh, that's great. I love that you did that. They say, can you do 4 balls? And I think in grazing, we're kind of the same way. You're moving your cows how often? Well, how about if you move them twice as often? You know?
Yeah.
And Pete's kind of pushed back on that, and he does not do, he's more about weekly rotations. And he talks about, he was doing daily rotations, but it hurt his performance too much. His animals were finishing at a smaller weight, so he's backed up to weekly rotations. I think probably, in my opinion, I do daily rotations. Week is a little bit long there, but that's what's working for him. And the other thing I think he does so good, besides just being authentic and sharing what's going on, when he is out of grass, he pulls cows up and puts them in a lot. Now, I think it would be better if they stayed out on grass, if you're able to do that. But if you don't have grass out there, you've got to give them some hay. And a lot of times we'll get in a drought and we try and force it through. We'll make it, we'll just move them a little bit slower. Grass will start growing. We'll put them up and he will feed them
just get
hay.
them off.
And I think there's a lot of value to that. Instead of grazing your grass too short and hurting it, he just does that. And that's not a popular thing to do. So one is his rotation and just being aware of what that does for his animal performance in his market and what he's doing. And the second thing is when you're short on grass, rather than harming the grass, pull your cows off, feed some hay, let your grass recover. If you need to depopulate or destock, you need a destock. Now, he's not one to destock so much. He's going to pull them up and feed them hay. But destocking's an option there. And I really like that he's willing to do that because a lot of people aren't.
Yeah. It's tough with the way grass grows. I mean, you've got 4 months out of the year where this stuff is just rocking and rolling. And it's like, man, I wish I had 100 head in the summer.
Oh, yeah.
And I wish I had 12 head in the winter.
Yeah. Everyone's a great grass manager in May.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. You're killing it in May.
Yeah. I've been patting myself on my back the whole month of May, and I'll probably continue all the way through May. But how do I feel about it in July and August? Or September and October,
that's the real test.
if we have a dry fall, you know, and that's always a worry.
Yeah, so, absolutely.
Alex, really enjoyed you coming back on the podcast. And I say coming back because we tried to do this last week and had all kinds of issues. We won't blame Alex. We won't blame Cal. We just had issues.
It was the caveman here with the MacBook. It was me. It was my equipment that was messing us.
We got it going today and really appreciate you coming on and sharing with us today.
Pleasure to be here, man.
Thank you for listening to this episode of the Grazing Grass Podcast, where we bring you stories and insights into grass-based livestock production. If you're new here, we've got something just for you. Our new listener resource guide is packed with everything you need to get started on your listening journey with the Grazing Grass Podcast. It gives you more information about the podcast, about myself, and next steps. You can grab your free copy at grazinggrass.com/guide. Don't miss out. And hey, do you have a grazing story to share? We're always looking for passionate producers to feature on the show. Whether you're just starting out or have years of experience, your story matters. Head over to grazinggrass.com/guest to learn more and apply to be a guest. We'd love to share your journey with our growing community of grazers. Until next time, keep on grazing grass.